More on the dwindling Democratic field. Let's go to our political panel. Matt Schlapp is the chairman of the American Conservative Union, and Mo Olathe is a former DNC communications director. He's also a Fox News contributor. Mo, the field is narrowing. Now we have basically 6 people who will be on the debate stage tomorrow night. And you have Sanders at the top of this poll. And you heard Ro Khanna, the congressman who's the co-chair of the Sanders campaign, saying that Sanders has really, really good organization, which, of course, matters a lot in Iowa. And take a listen to one of his main rivals, Elizabeth Warren, taking offense to something she said the Bernie Sanders campaign did. Watch.
I was disappointed to hear that Bernie is sending his volunteers out to trash me. We all saw the impact of the factionalism in 2016, and we can't have a repeat of that. Democrats need to unite our party. I hope Bernie reconsiders and turns his campaign in a different direction.
But Mo, before you can unite, you have to fight, and that seems to be what Bernie Sanders is doing.
Yeah, anyone that's followed Bernie Sanders knows that the guy steps out onto the campaign battlefield wearing a pair of brass knuckles. He's a tough fighter. And look, you got 2 polls out, right? One that shows Bernie up by a couple of points. The other one that shows Biden up by a couple of points, with Warren and Buttigieg bunched up real close behind them all. This is a jump ball. This is a 4-way race in Iowa. You could argue that Bernie and Biden are sort of tier 1A. Mayor Pete and Warren are sort of tier 1B. But anything can happen. I think one of the untold stories of this campaign so far has been the absolutely remarkable staying power of both Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Both guys have taken a lot of incoming. Bernie Sanders had that health scare a few months ago. Joe Biden has had some of the toughest press of anyone, and they are both right there at the top.
And Matt, it's almost as if I've combined the two. Biden and Bernie are the 2 polar opposites of the Democratic Party right now. And former Obama advisor Jim Messina, as I mentioned to Ro Khanna, basically wrote a piece or did an interview with Politico in which he said Donald Trump would love to take on Bernie Sanders because that would be the easier candidate for him to beat. What do you make of that?
Well, I know Jim Messina has not endorsed any of the candidates, but his wife is a supporter of Joe Biden. Everyone's allowed to have powerful spouses in politics. I'm for that. But I do think there's a lot of Democrats that are trying to decry the surge of Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders because, they're just more aligned with Joe Biden. I think what's really interesting here, Dana, is to think about modern Democrats, this polarized, radicalized Democratic Party. They don't think about who the person is. They think about what the person is. And what I think is interesting about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, and I agree with you, they have done well in poll after poll after poll, although Bernie, I think, has the momentum in both Iowa and New Hampshire, is that they are really old white guys, which doesn't match their party that well. So I kind of still put an asterisk there because I think the Democrats always like to try something new, just like they did with Barack Obama. Elizabeth Warren and Mayor Pete, each one of them can make that case.
Let me ask you about that, Mo. In the final moments that we have here, we had Cory Booker just decide to drop out today. What do you make of the field as it's narrowed down to these few?
Yeah, look, it's been a very volatile field, and that happens when you've got 20 candidates getting in at the beginning of the race. Matt would remember that from last cycle when 17 Republicans got in, and it was very volatile. Look, in Iowa and New Hampshire, they look under the hood, they kick the tires, and these are the 4 that they've sort of elevated to the top. I wouldn't rule out Amy Klobuchar to have a strong showing. She's been doing very well, and as Warren has slid, she's been inching up. I don't know if it'll be enough to catch up, but I think there could be 4 tickets out of Iowa, and then New Hampshire will play a bigger role in winning.
I disagree. If Joe Biden doesn't win Iowa, I believe he's out of this race. He's been the front runner. He's got to win in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Even if he wins in New Hampshire?
I just don't think he will. If he doesn't win in Iowa, I think his supporters will start to move. I really believe that. That's how 7 out of the last Democrats who won Iowa have won the Democratic nomination.
You two
it's
are the
all
best.
about Iowa.
Matt Schlapp and Mo Olathe, I got to run. Thank you. Up next.